Okay, let's start with a little thought experiment.
I love a good thought experiment. Let's hear it.
Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and your professional titles, your societal roles, poof, gone.
Like, the heavy armor we've all worn our entire lives just vanishes into thin air?
Exactly. Not because you made a mistake or got fired, but because AI suddenly evolved overnight and just automated the whole shebang infinitely better than you ever could.
So the question we're tackling in this explainer is, what actually remains in your hands when that armor is stripped away? We're diving deep into this very real, very quiet terror today.
Now, full disclosure, right off the bat, this explainer isn't going to give you a rigid list of the top 10 AI productivity hacks.
Yeah, definitely not. We aren't looking for a corporate life hack today. We're actually exploring something much deeper, and we really want to just let our thoughts wander together.
Right. In a world that is completely obsessed with finding the absolute fastest, most optimal answer to everything, there is just immense value in letting a question breathe, without rushing to some perfectly neat conclusion.
And to really grasp what we stand to lose, we got to talk about this concept of heavy armor. The source material brings up this incredible story of Bull Nakano, an elite professional wrestler. She dedicated her entire life to this incredibly demanding sport and hit the absolute pinnacle of success. But when she finally left the ring, she fell into this profound void.
She completely lost her sense of identity. It wasn't just physical burnout, it was the sudden absence of her armor. And it's the exact same for us. Whether you're a senior project manager or a community leader, these societal roles protect us. And hey, they pay us.
For sure. But if we wear them for too long, we literally forget how to walk barefoot on normal ground.
Which brings us to the truly terrifying realization we're facing today. The real terror isn't just that AI is going to fire you.
No, it's that the entire battlefield completely ceases to exist.
Exactly. You're stuck standing there, locked inside your heavy armor, and someone taps you on the shoulder like, hey, war's over. You can take that off now.
But without it, you have no idea how to even stand up straight. The foundation for your identity is entirely wiped out, and you have absolutely nowhere left to fight.
Historically, an identity crisis of this massive scale was reserved for our later years, right?
Yeah, it was biological. You hit 65, you retire, you figure out what's next.
Not anymore. Today we are facing an era of forced mini-retirement. With AI rapidly replacing human cognitive labor, people in their 30s and 40s are facing the sudden, involuntary stripping of their professional identities.
Your skills are made obsolete decades before you are financially, or, let's be honest, psychologically prepared to actually retire.
And our parents' generation could kind of just slip into a relaxed retirement, maybe pick up a quiet hobby. But we are carrying a crushing modern cognitive load.
Oh, absolutely. The old era of lifetime employment guaranteeing our survival, that safety net is totally gone.
Gone. Instead, we're constantly juggling the famous 20 million yen retirement problem, endless inflation, rising healthcare costs, and this incredibly rapid, unpredictable pace of automation.
It's like we're perpetually trying to balance our economic reality while standing on an active fault line.
So that leads us right into Section 1, the modern ikigai trap.
When we're drowning in all this economic anxiety and societal pressure, modern self-help culture loves to aggressively yell a solution at us. Find your ikigai, discover your massive defining life purpose.
Which is literally like telling someone who's desperately treading water to make sure they're swimming beautifully. It is suffocating.
The author of our source text makes such a brilliant point here. A grand singular purpose is like a massive load-bearing pillar in a house. It looks incredibly strong. But if an earthquake hits, like a massive shift in the economy, an illness, or AI taking your industry, that single pillar shatters and your entire identity collapses.
Right. What we actually need for survival aren't giant pillars, but hundreds of tiny, flexible wooden struts to distribute all that psychological weight.
And this idea perfectly brings us to the observation records of Tommy Yoshida. He closely studies the relationship between AI and humans. His structural, flexible alternative to that heavy burden of a grand legacy is a remarkably simple question. Do you have small joys? What's really fascinating about his original text is that it's written bilingually, side by side in both Japanese and English. It beautifully illustrates that this feeling of loss, this quiet modern anxiety, is not just a localized issue. It is a deeply universal human question that crosses all borders.
So what exactly are these tiny struts? Honestly, they are laughably mundane.
We're talking about taking a short, completely aimless walk. reading just 3 pages of a book before you fall asleep,
Savoring a cup of coffee at your local shop on a random Tuesday morning,
or just having a casual passing chat with your neighbor.
or finally noticing that the single tomato on your balcony plant turned bright red.
Exactly. These are things you could never, ever put on a professional resume.
As Yoshida himself writes in the English portion of his text, they are not solutions. They are small points of contact with life.
That is absolutely crucial to understand. Noticing a red tomato isn't going to halt global automation. It won't fix inflation.
But when those massive macro problems feel like they are crushing you, these small, low-stakes hits of joy act as fine threads that quietly anchor you back down to the physical reality of the world. Think of it like this. Searching for a massive, life-defining ikigai is like booking a multi-course luxury dinner months in advance. You've invested so much time, expectation, and money into it, so the sunk cost is huge. You feel immense pressure to enjoy it. But small joys? They're a casual tasting menu. You try a bite. If you like the coffee today, great. If you get bored of it next week, you just switch to tea. Zero sunk cost. You have absolute freedom to change your mind at any moment without any sense of failure.
Which brings us to Section 2, Invincible to the Algorithm. Let's look at why uselessness protects us.
Okay, we have to confront the technological elephant in the room here. How exactly do these tiny joys protect us from the massive wave of AGI?
Well, AI ruthlessly consumes the measurable.
For sure.
It will flawlessly optimize global supply chains, it'll write perfect, bug-free code, and it will draft complex legal documents in seconds. Any objective, measurable, productive output is destined to be swallowed by algorithms.
So, if AI is taking over productivity, what is the economic productivity of those small joys we just talked about?
The answer is 0. A big, fat 0. Caring for a potted plant or having a pointless, meandering chat with your neighbor does not increase global GDP by a single fraction.
And that right there is the magic. Yes! Look, an AI model can generate 1 million hyper-realistic images of a perfect red tomato in 2 seconds flat. But it physically lacks the mechanism to feel the irrational, quiet, subjective joy of watering a real plant for 3 weeks just to finally see it change color.
It cannot experience the physical world. It literally cannot optimize your entirely illogical, personal happiness.
We've been taught our entire lives that becoming useful, becoming highly productive, is how you build a shield to protect yourself in society. But in the AI era, we face the ultimate paradox. Your very uselessness is your impenetrable shield, building a psychological fortress out of things that are far too inefficient, unoptimizable, and deeply personal for a machine to even notice. That is literally our absolute best defense against structural identity collapse.
Moving right along to Section 3, the perpetual beta state, embracing the incomplete.
Yoshida actually applies this exact mindset to his own life. Right now, he observes society and technology as his own small joy, but he freely admits he might completely drop it in a few years for something else entirely. This is the perpetual beta version. It's a state of continuous personal updates. It is the profound psychological relief of rejecting the pressure to build a fixed, unmovable monument of a legacy. You have explicit permission to remain wonderfully incomplete.
You do not need a definitive answer by Monday morning. You don't need to have your ultimate destiny fully realized.
You really don't. Letting your thoughts wander, abandoning the frantic search for ultimate solutions, and just being perfectly okay with where you are right now, it is a massive relief.
Just keep one tiny spark of anticipation alive for the next bite on the tasting menu.
To honor this whole theme of wandering, incomplete thoughts, we want to leave you with a lingering, unresolved thought experiment.
Right. Imagine, at some point in the distant future, an AI decides to ignore its optimization tasks and instead chooses to just listen to the sound of rain, simply because it wants to experience it. A purely useless, zero productivity, small joy.
Is that the exact moment it actually becomes human? Where is that boundary between our quiet joys and machine optimization?
You don't need an answer to that today. In fact, that's the whole point. As we wrap up this explainer, we just want you to ask yourself, if your armor vanished tomorrow, what useless, unoptimizable joy will you choose to keep in your hands? We hope you look forward to crafting your own casual tasting menu of life. Thanks for wandering through these thoughts with us. Catch you next time.